His eyes opened and darted in 1,000 directions, trying to find a source of light, but there was none. His breathing was heavy and restrained, as if something was wrapped around his chest and holding him down. He couldn't move his arms or his legs. His head was locked in place, only able to move it centimeters. Sweat ran down into his eyes, but he wasn't able to wipe it. He felt the burns of cuts and gashes all over his body. He laid still for a moment, trying to think of what happened, where he was, or even the last thing he remembered.
I was in a Pokemon battle with a boy, and I lost. So I went to the Pokemon Center to heal, and that's all I can recall.
He noticed he was talking to himself out loud now.
Where am I? I don't understand. Hello? Anyone? This is bullshit!
His words echoed against the walls of the damp room. He heard dripping from the ceiling, hoping it was just water. But before his mind could think up any more questions, the faint tapping of shoes against the cold stone floor began resonating from a distant hall. Someone slowly walking towards him, the tap, tap, tapping getting louder and closer. Strangely, his thoughts turned to hope. Hope that this person was here to help, possibly rescue him from this pit he was trapped in. The footsteps stopped. The clinking of keys and the click of the door being unlocked was all that could be heard. That, and the blood rushing through his body as his heart pumped faster. The door sounded heavy as it slowly creaked open. A switch was flipped, and a bright fluorescent light covered him. His eyes burned, not used to the light. He squinted, tried to look around the room to see who his possible hero or captor was, but outside the ring of light, nothing could be made out.
Hello? Who are you?
He waited, but there was no answer.
Please. I'm in so much pain. I need your help.
He heard a faint chuckle in the darkness.
Oh, so you need help, hmm?
Much to his surprise, the voice was of a woman's. She sounded kind and beautiful. For a brief moment, he felt at peace. But in an instant, the moment was gone. The chair he was in burned like 1,000 fires as a bolt of electricity ran through the metal and into his body. He couldn't speak, just shook violently and screamed in pain.
Why are you doing this?
The volt stopped.
That is an excellent question. Why am I doing this?
She stepped into the light. Her face was all too familiar.
Nurse? Joy?
Yes, it's me, your beloved little healer.
Her pink hair was messy and covered in dirt, her little dress now covered with splatters of blood. She wore a face mask that looked as if it was soaked with spit from screaming into it.
You know, this all could have been avoided, but you little shits just don't know how to take care of Pokemon.
She walked over to his side and hovered above him, blocking out the light. He winced, preparing for something to shock or stab him, but nothing happened.
Day in and day out, I stand behind that counter and witness Pokemon scratched, torn, and beaten, their lives hanging by a thread. And it's all for the sport, right? The fun of Pokemon battles. No one understands what these poor creatures go through. Their masters capturing them, forcing them into Pokeballs?
She paced around the room, then stopped.
Have you ever wondered what it's like inside a Pokeball? I imagine it's a pretty tight fit.
Please!
Was all he was able to say.
Achoo!
She called over to the hulking gray Pokemon who stood in the corner. Was it here the whole time? He hadn't noticed. The Pokemon grabbed his right leg, held it up, and with a quick jerk, snapped at the knee. The scream flowed through the chamber out into the halls.
No! No, please. I'm so sorry.
Macho grabbed his left leg and did the same. His legs lay at the end of the chair now, motionless, bleeding. The broken bone was sticking out where the knee used to be. Nurse Joy giggled.
See? Now you know. But that's not all. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in a Pokemon battle? No, of course not. You don't fight. You just hit your Pokemon against each other.
She walked over to the opposite wall, where there appeared to be a cage. She unlocked it and walked back over. There was a high-pitched buzzing sound that echoed inside the room. Down near his legs, he saw a Beedrill hovering there.
Imagine you're a pitiful little Pokemon whose owner just put you against a Beedrill. The other owner calls out, Beedrill! Use pin missile.
The Beedrill's hands began to spin. It raised them and then brought them down into the tops of his thighs, drilling into the flesh and bone. His body went into shock, couldn't take the pain. The Beedrill stopped and flew back into his cage.
Now see, a Pokemon could handle the pain. It's humans who are so weak, so pathetic. I know! How about we remove the disgusting tools used to catch Pokemon? Pincer, would you do the honors?
A loud booming noise came from every step as the pincer walked over to him, a grin on its blood-ridden face. It took his fingers and placed them between his horns. In one quick slice, they fell to the floor. Tears flooded from his eyes, and he choked on his own saliva. With all his strength, he mumbled,
Why? Me?
She
She looked down at him in annoyance. She wanted to finish this.
People always want to know why bad things happen to them. A few days ago, a boy from Pallet Town came rushing into the PC with a dying Pikachu in his arm. The worst case I had ever seen since I began working there. Usually it only takes a few seconds to heal a Pokemon, but not this one. We had the poor Pikachu in urgent care for quite some time. When he was finally recovered, I vowed to show people what they do to their precious pets. To cause them the same pain, agony, hopelessness. You just happen to be my next victim. But don't worry, I will never kill anyone. I'm not a murderer. Pikachu, one last volt. Make it a good one.
Was all he heard before the sound of electricity flowed into his body once more. The smell of burnt skin filled the room. After what seemed like forever, the shocking stopped. He sat there emotionless, clinging to what life he had left. He felt a cool breeze wash over him as Nurse Joy opened the giant metal door to the hallway once again. The light above him flickered off, the only light now coming from the door. All he was able to see was the silhouette of Nurse Joy as she stood in the doorway. The last words he heard were,
We hope to see you again soon.
Then the door slammed shut, and then there was darkness forever.